Bang Bang Niner Gang. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Niner Beto coming to you with the Niner Sickness Podcast Show. Here live on a Friday night representing our San Francisco 49ers. We're going to be talking about free agency, possible trade scenarios, and much, much more. With no further ado, let me introduce you to all my co-host, gentlemen, the Boston hater himself, Nate, or Nathaniel, as he likes to be called, and Florida Mike, all the way from Florida. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey,
Bang
what's going
bang.
Niner gang. That's it. So let's get it right into the show. But before we go, let's just want to remind every viewer to please subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the like button, and also hit the notification bell so that you will be notified each and every time we go live here on YouTube, so that you don't miss nothing that has to do with your San Francisco 49ers. Here we bring you the raw truth. We'll let you know exactly how things are. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. You may agree or disagree with us, but we're going to let you know straight up what we feel about our 49ers. And this is where we will educate you, the viewers, somewhat of your 49er. And let's stay faithful. So we got the people coming in as we speak. So one of the let me go ahead and give this to Nate real quick. Say hi to everyone, and then we'll give it to Mike, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, welcome everybody. Uh, Happy to get a couple of shots out on YouTube. Uh, Looking forward to getting fans over here. We're really green as it pertains to YouTube, so you know we're just trying to get some exposure and excited to talk about football and talk about our Niners.
Right on. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, man. Happy Friday the 13th, man. We're gonna have a spooky, real fun show tonight, like we always do. Big shout out to the Orlando, Florida Niner Empire chapter down here. Gotta show love. And also to the Germany Niner Empire. I'm part of both of them, so much love to them. And big shout out to all the East Coast Niner fans stand up. You know, it's late over here, but this is how much we love our Niners, man. So we represent all the way from coast to coast, baby. And of course, big shout to the Bay Area Niner fans are all of Cali.
Oh, that's
Special
awesome.
and a special shout out to those Boston Niner fans.
You gotta give them love. You gotta give them love too.
Eh,
We're trying to get this. I'm trying to get this. Give me a second. Trying to get this so people can start coming in. We have how do you big? Uh, how do you pronounce your name? Big Heat 209 in here joining us. Welcome to the show. And if I screwed up your name, I apologize. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly where we like to do is we like to come in here and talk about your San Francisco 49ers, our San Francisco 49ers, and just to kind of get away from all the craziness that has been happening. I'm not going to stay too much on the topic, or we're not going to stay too much on the topic of the coronavirus. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard enough of it, but this is where we can come talk about our football. Unfortunately, all sports have been canceled, NBA, MLB, and so forth, but not the Niner Sickness podcast. That never gets canceled. We come on here to just entertain you guys, share information with you guys, man, and it's going to be a fun show. So thank you for joining us. Kimo, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. I'm getting a
Hey, big
feedback.
shout out to Chemo, man. Good dude right there. Big shout out to Chemo.
Okay,
Chemo
perfect.
Chemo is a regular and a faithful to this show.
Yes, he is, and we appreciate him, man. Thank you, brother.
Got to
Thank
get
you
him
so
on
much.
board.
Yes, we do. Um, am I the only one? Or do you guys get a feedback? Are you guys having a feedback issues?
No,
No, no. Okay. Um, let me just put this in a couple of groups, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So, while I do this, while I'm putting this on all the Facebook groups. Go ahead and start it up, Nate. Get some of your information, then we'll pick it up from there.
oh, you wanted me to break down these different
Yeah, go
classes
for
of
it.
free agents?
Yeah, go
Okay,
for it.
all right. Basically, when it comes down to it, people are always talking about dollars and cents, and you got those that are really shallow and say, oh, they act like it's their money and this. And when it comes down to it, it's not simple. It's really complex. It's not easy to just make guys fit and just make it go. You got three classes of free agents. The first class of free agent you have is the exclusive rights free agent. The exclusive rights free agent is a guy that has 2 accrued NFL years or less. To have an accrued NFL year, you must play at least 6 games on the active roster. Okay. Now, the second one is the restricted free agent. The restricted free agent has exactly 3 years of accrued NFL years of experience. And when you're 4 or more, you've got the last class, which is the unrestricted free agent. Now, we have free agents in all of these classes, probably those that we are interested in keeping as well. I'm going to start with talking about the exclusive rights free agents. We have 5 of them: Brunskill, Emmanuel Mosley, Ross Dwelley, Nick Mullins, and Jeff Wilson Jr. All right. 2 of them I know for sure have already been given tenders and will be 49ers next year without question. Those are Nick Mullins and Ross Dwelley. All right. The thing about being an exclusive rights restricted free agent is you don't get to negotiate with other teams. Your salary is based on a percentage. And if the team wants you, they give you that deal and you move on. And if you happen to jump into the 3 year after that, you go to the restricted. If you were a rookie and you're getting it again, then you end up in exclusive rights for another year. That's how that works. So basically, that's it in a nutshell with the exclusive rights free agent. You don't really get options. The team has the options. They can either sign you or not sign you. And if you're exclusive rights, when another team picks you up because this team doesn't take you, you're still under that exclusive rights free agent salary structure. You can't get out of that at that point. Okay. Moving along. The restricted free agent. This one is kind of complex. We've only got 3 people in this section. That is Kendrick Bourne, Matt Breida, and Elijah Lee. There are 3 different options for a club to take with a restricted free agent. One is they can put no tender whatsoever on him, just wait for some team to offer them a contract, and they have the ability to either match that contract or let him go. There is no compensation for that kind of action. You can't get compensatory picks. You get nothing if you let that guy go. Your second option is to draft him and put a round tender on him. Now, that round would be whatever round he was drafted in. So let's just, for argument's sake, say that, a player was drafted in the 6th round. Well, when you put that draft round tender on him, a team can offer him a deal. And if the Niners didn't choose to keep him, he is going, they're going to have to, in compensation, give up that 6th round pick if it's a 6th round guy. Okay. And that is your compensation in that respect. And the last group is even more complex, is what they call a right of first refusal. And there are different components to the right of first refusal. There's actually 4 components. You've got the right of first refusal, which is basically you put the right of first refusal on him, and it's essentially very similar to the match it or let him go. It's not very different. But when you put that right of first refusal on him, you are guaranteeing that if no one chooses him, you must pay that guy. No one signs him to a tender, you must pay him $2 million a year. So at least for 1 year. And then you've got a second phase to that is called right of first refusal draft tender. That one, if no one offers him a deal, and you opt to, if he doesn't offer him, I'm confused. Here we go. If they do offer him a deal, then you would get that round that he is drafted in. That's the compensation. So if it was 6th round, you get a 6th round. If they don't offer him anything, you will pay him $2.1 million. That is the way it's structured. When you get a step further, you've got what's called right of first refusal and 2nd round tender. If the contract is not offered to him, you will pay him $3.2 million that year. So, and in compensation, if they do sign him to a deal, another team, you get that 2nd round pick. And the last one is right of first refusal, 1st round tender. If you do not get anybody that wants to offer him a deal, you will pay that guy $4.6 million. So you're basically, with this draft round tender thing, you are setting the bottom line price for this guy's salary if no one offers him a deal that's greater than that. So it's a risky business in that you can look at things like this. All right, Elijah Lee is one of those guys. Would you want to put a right of first refusal 1st round tender on Elijah Lee, where you could potentially have to pay him $4.6 million to be a backup linebacker? That's a question you would have to ask yourself. I wouldn't. But anyway, moving along. You got your unrestricted free agent. You have to have 4 or more accrued seasons in the NFL to be considered an unrestricted free agent. We have 3 of those that are, notables: Eric Armstead, Jimmy Ward, and Emmanuel Sanders. Your only options with an unrestricted free agent is to offer them a deal, let them walk in free agency, or you can put one of the tags, either franchise or transition tags, on them and try to keep them around, or at least in the transition tag, maybe get some compensation for them. So that's, in a nutshell, what we have in free agency, how free agency works, and what you can and cannot do with those individual players. And, with our salary cap probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 million, we're not in the position with a whole lot of cap space. So we're going to have some really tough decisions to make, especially when it comes to the unrestricted free agents. So
That's pretty good stuff right there, and I'm glad that you were able to share that with us. For a lot of those that don't follow, I understand that some of us follow the 49ers closely. We follow the free agency. We follow the cap. And a lot of us are probably already aware about what Nate has just explained. But I know there's a lot of you out there that, because of work or because of whatever situation, are not able to follow that closely. And this is why we bring you the show, so that if you didn't know that information, now you do. Now you are made aware of how that works. And so that way, if you see players come and go, if you see situations happen, you're a little bit more aware. Okay, this is why. I remember Nate explaining it to me on that show that this or this or that. So this is the reason why we bring you this content to you, man. So Nate, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it, brother. Mike, jump right in there, man. Give me your point of view towards that. What's your thoughts?
Well, I like to say, man, there's gonna be a segment of the fan base who probably is like, man, I got to go back and listen to that. I got to. It's a lot of good information that was conveyed. So appreciate you, bro, Nate, for sharing that.
no doubt.
Yeah, I think, man, on my perspective, what I see constantly year in, year out with fans in general, this is not limited to 49er fans. We hear Niner fans more than anyone because that's who we breaking bread with. But every fan base has these fans who want these big, high end free agents every year. And at the end of the day, they're not considering long term. They're not considering who we got on the roster that's worth investing into. That contracts are coming up. How we're going to keep the core of our team and continue to add on. I mean, it's the nature of the business. You're going to lose somebody, and then you got to be able to keep your core and add on and build from that as well. So the key to winning Super Bowls is not to put all your eggs in one basket. The key is go out here and have longevity. Because notice the key word is plural. I said Super Bowls. We don't want one. We want many, multiple. So having multiple opportunities, having your core intact, investing in your core, and just continue to grow around them, that's the way to go. And if we continue to do that at a high level, bring in free agents that's going to contribute to what we're trying to do. Some of them might not be the best moves, but at the end of the day, if they're effective, that's all you can ask for. And so far, we've been effective. So just keep that momentum going.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so we started late tonight. We're just going to continue to just jump right in for those that have been watching. So I'm going to touch a little bit on some trade rumors that I've been hearing. I don't know if you guys have heard as well. Agree or disagree with these rumors, and again, they're just rumors. One of them that I think is interesting is that I've been hearing is something that the Cleveland Browns have been talking to the 49ers, possibly trading Eric Armstead if we sign him to what do you call it? If we tag him and then we trade him over for OBJ, and a draft pick for him. That's just something for us to talk about. And then, but the one of them that I did kind of thought like was that the Niners were talking to the Miami Dolphins, possibly trading Marquise Goodwin for a fourth or fifth round pick. So that
I'm all for that.
Yeah, that one sounds, because Miami really needs a receiver. I really believe they're gonna go with Tua in the draft or a quarterback. So they're going to need to supply him some receivers. So let me get you guys' thoughts on those two rumors, and then we can go from there.
Well, on the first rumor, to clarify, when you said that we were looking at giving away Armstead and a draft pick, what? Because we only have a first round and we're missing the second, third, and fourth. So are you saying we get a draft pick from Cleveland, or they're asking for like one of our?
No, we get one from them.
We get one from them. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, and then I didn't want to assume.
No, that's good. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Yes, that we trade Armstead. We get OBJ in maybe a late round, one of the third or fifth round picks back.
That is terrible.
I'm all for the second option by far. Even when OBJ was available before he went to Cleveland, I wasn't a fan of that because we had some Niner fans that was in favor of getting all these big brand name guys. So I'm not in favor of getting OBJ then or now.
Okay.
I'm okay with giving away Marquise Goodwin for another draft pick. That's cool.
What about you, Nate?
First of all, the OBJ thing. Can we stop with that dude already? Are we really going to pay Odell Beckham Jr. this more money than we would pay Armstead? The reason why we don't want to keep Armstead is the price tag. It's not his play.
Correct.
So why in the hell would you go and get somebody like a OBJ who you see what kind of player he's turned out to be since he left New York? And his value is obviously less. He was going for 2 first-round picks before. Now, all of a sudden, you want the guy, and he's worth only Eric Armstead plus a late-round pick. Till he's not even the guy he was before, and you're going to pay him premium dollar? $19 million a year is what this guy's making. You don't want to pay Eric Armstead $19 million, but you want to pay OBJ $19 million. I don't get it.
Well, I'll be honest, man. I think fans are looking at OBJ's name brand versus the type of quality that we would have, in return, and they're not looking at economic investments like everything you broke down at the intro of the show. Most fans are not going to look at X's and O's. Dollars amounts in that category. What makes business sense? They're going to just only think It's the same logic why people are wanting Tom Brady. They're looking at name brand rather than what makes sense.
Yeah, basically, OBJ looked like a very average receiver last year. So you're gonna pay $19 million for a minor upgrade to Emmanuel Sanders. Why not just keep Emmanuel Sanders for the $10 million he's asking for, and trade Armstead and get draft pick compensation, which is what you probably really need anyway, because you don't have the money to pay these free agents like you're talking about, and that way it works. If you really want to talk about now, see, this isn't a rumor. This is something that I came up with. If you really want to get something that's going to upgrade a position, let all three of those unrestricted free agents walk. If you can get Justin Simmons, the safety from Denver, in return.
They just tagged him.
Because he's going to catch a little more money than Jimmy Ward would get, but go ahead and Armstead, go ahead and tag and trade him. Let him go. Second round, third round, whatever you can get for him. Give you some draft capital. Let Jimmy Ward straight up walk and let Emmanuel Sanders straight up walk. And you replace that with that talent, which is an upgrade. You got your ball hawking safety that covers a lot of ground, which upgrades your secondary. And you use that draft pick to try to, with what we have on the roster and, with that draft pick by committee, try to replace Armstead's position. And also you would have to, with what we currently have, and along with maybe that first round draft pick, try to replace Emmanuel Sanders. Now, that makes more sense.
No, it does. It does. Now I just wanted to actually, that's a trade that I heard and I wanted to bring it up. But I think the Niners are really working hard on trying to keep Eric Armstead on the roster. I got a feeling that Emmanuel Sanders will go ahead and go. And then I don't know about Jimmy, if they let him go as well. But I think they can let Jimmy go and Sanders and still sign Eric Armstead.
True, but why? That's my question. He's not a depth piece.
Actually, he's a starter.
So. Yeah, and you got to think to yourself, if you give Armstead this, what is he going to play for? Even if he plays for $15 million, you've already committed $17.5 million to Dee Ford. DeForest Buckner is going to be somewhere up around that 19-20 million thing. And then you've got Bosa to consider right after that. Do you really want an $75 million defensive line with a $200 million cap? As much as I love Eric Armstead, it just doesn't make sense.
So in your opinion, it's probably best for the team to trade on Eric Armstead for draft picks, because now he's playing good, so he has the value. Mm-hmm. And let Sanders and Jimmy walk. So
probably, let's put it this way, you only let Jimmy walk if you can't replace. Now, that's the only one that I'm really interested in replacing with a free agent.
And who would that free agent be in your thoughts?
Justin Simmons, Denver.
Okay. So we would have to trade for him.
No, he is a free agent.
But they tagged him.
No, they did not.
I read that earlier on Twitter.
Did they?
Yes.
Okay, well, now you're talking trade, and we don't really have, tradable parts. The only tradable part we would have is Eric Armstead. I don't know if Denver's interested in Eric Armstead, but they're going to have to give us more than just a safety.
Yeah.
This safety for Eric Armstead. So
they are looking for pass rushers. I mean, that wouldn't be. It wouldn't be ludicrous to think about.
No, because actually, in in their scheme, he fits perfectly. He's an interior pass rusher, and all their pass rushers from the outside.
And you know the relationship between John Lynch and
That's true.
John. What's his
Could
name?
could we possibly get Simmons
Elway.
and a fourth or a fifth, or maybe a fourth for Armstead? That would not be a bad deal.
Do me a favor, Nate, and then I'll pass it over to Mike. Just what's up, Ismail? Ismail Ortiz just joined the chat, so he might have missed your statement upon Eric Armstead. Can you let him know what your thoughts were of Eric Armstead, which you just mentioned a few minutes ago?
Okay. Once again, my issue with Armstead, I love Eric Armstead. I'd love him to be on the team, but the bottom line is players don't play for free, and he's not going to play cheap. There's no reason for a guy that young coming in to play cheap. He's going to command, even if he takes a hometown deal, 13, 14, 15, $16 million a year, somewhere in that range. If you look at the stuff that they put out publicly, Sport Track says that Eric Armstead is worth $15.7 million a year. That's what they say. There's no way we should pay $15.7 million for a defensive tackle that's not named DeForest Buckner, because we already have $17.5 million committed to D Ford. We're probably going to be committing something like $18 to $20 million to DeForest Buckner a year. And then you've got Bosa to consider as soon as 2 seasons from now. And it just doesn't make sense to have a $75 million defensive line in a $200 million
nice.
cap. $200 million cap.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
But it does sound a $75 million defensive line does have a little ring to it. But no, I hear you. And I'm glad you explained that to Ismael, because, again, as fans, we need to realize that I'm a big Eric Armstead guy, too, and I love the guy. I think the guy has a lot of potential. He showed a lot this year, and his roof is going to continue to grow. But we live in the real world with money and salary cap. And ideally, of course, we would love to be able to keep Eric Armstead, Emmanuel Sanders, and Jimmy Ward, and be able to pay George Kittle, Buckner, and the rest of the gang when their pay is due, and be happy. But unfortunately, that's not the case. That's not the real world. Then Parag, as good as he is financially, as good as he is doing contracts, he also only has so much to work with. Remember, he can create situations, but he can't pull a rabbit out of a hat, in a sense where, even though I want to keep Eric Armstead, and if they find a way, that'll be great. But I think that they're more focused on DeForest Buckner, and especially George Kittle. If they're going to put a lot of money tied in right away, it's going to be George Kittle. Tie him in, because as good as Eric Armstead is, he's not a game changer. He's effective pass rusher, and he can go after the court, but he's not a game changer. He's not a George Kittle.
But they're talking about paying him game-changing money.
Exactly.
And that just doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Now, sake of argument, and I'm not saying that this should have, but do you think that Eric Armstead can have another good year and DeForest Buckner continue to regress and not be as good as Eric?
In what world?
Well, in this world right now, just
okay.
In the football
let's
world.
Put it this way: he hasn't regressed yet. He's been in the league 4 years. He's been better than Armstead every one of those years.
From day one, yeah.
Yeah. Don't talk to me about sacks. I'm not hearing you. Buckner is better than Armstead, point blank. They're not double teaming him left and right for no reason and leaving Armstead singled. Yeah, even the players out there on the other team know who the better player is.
Real quick, I did read something like this earlier today, and Kimo brought it to my attention right now. I believe, and I'm not sure this is 100% correct, but I did read something about it, and they said that DeForest Buckner restructured his 5th-year option to about $12 million.
Mm, that still doesn't have anything to do with the fact that you're going to have to pay this man, and you're going to have to pay him on top of because Eric Armstead is not a 1 year deal. Eric Armstead is going to be a, 4 or
For at
5
least
year
four, yeah,
deal,
4 year deal.
and
Yeah,
he's going to average 14, 15 million a year. So just because you're talking about a restructure of a 5th year deal for 12 million, trust and believe that when he gets that extension, it's going to be 18 to 20 per. It's not going to be anybody's 12 million. If he played for 12 million, yeah, maybe you can think about keeping Armstead then, but it's not going to happen. There's no reason for a guy that good to play for that price. Everybody is not Tom Brady.
yeah, absolutely. Any of your thoughts, Mike? You've been pretty quiet there, brother.
Nah, man, two grown men at the platform, man. I'm observing some good info, some good dialogue. But honestly, I think at the end of the day, man, like we hit the nail on the head. We got to do what's best on a business level for us to keep our stability for a while. I'm big on stability, and that to me that should come first. So do what makes sense business wise. If you got to cut something, you cut something. But at the end of the day, that's what we build. We cut something, but we fill in other areas, and that's how you stay stable. We don't want to go all in and put our eggs in one basket, and then we fall short on other needs that are highly important. Like you said, with Buckner coming up, Bosa a couple years down the road, you want to have all that money. They're allocated for those type of players that are impactful in your defense. So keep your best players, keep your best core, and everybody else got to go if that's what they got to do. And then we bring in somebody else for cheaper and fill in other voids in other areas.
Good. Anybody want to answer Ismael Ortiz's question about Alex Smith?
It's not Alex, it's Alden.
Oh, Alden Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, that's even worse.
That's a joke. He's not serious.
Man, you know what's
I
crazy,
forgot
man?
about him. That's
What
right,
is
Alden
what
Smith.
people will probably suggest that based upon once again what he brought to the table while he played with us. But where's this mentality, man? We know what he's been doing off the field,
Yeah.
and like, are we considering that we're talking about getting a guy who probably isn't a former shell of his old self as far as talent, and he might not be mentally there to stay out of trouble. That's we got other options. Put it like that.
Yeah.
We're not that. We're not. We just went to the Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't want to
We're
have
not
any locker room chemistry problems.
Yeah. I mean, when we look at what we have currently on our roster, and when you bring up things like OBJ, why it puts this bitter taste in my mouth is, Alden Smith. We have not just quality players, we have quality human beings.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I am not willing to sacrifice that for anything. I don't want trash on our team, period.
Roberto Hastings agrees with us. He says, "Don't you ever say Alden Smith's name again."
Yeah.
And to make that clear, that's just a comment from that we responded to. This panel ain't bringing up Alden Smith. That's just a reaction from
Yeah.
someone who made a comment. So
I
that's
don't think he was serious. I think he's
No. I don't. He wasn't referring to us. He was agreeing with us.
no.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking
No,
about
that's
the Alden
But
Smith, just the fact that it was brought up. I think he
yeah,
was joking.
and it's okay that it was brought up. I mean,
Yeah.
by Ismael, and I just want to make sure Ismael understands that we love the people. We love that you guys bring up situations because we don't want to. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to discourage anyone from bringing up a topic, just afraid that we're going to shut it down. We're going to give you your honest. We're going to give you our honest opinion on the topic that you bring up, but we always welcome your topic. So feel free to bring up as ludicrous as someone might be. We will answer them accordingly to the kind of question you're asking. But we do want to encourage each and every one of you to continue to bring, even if it's bringing someone from Boston. Like
Oh, speaking of which,
uh,
once again, the guard from there, Joe Thuney. I'm still on that. And I would happily, if we could dump all our unrestricted free agents, Armstead, Ward, Sanders, and in return we could get Simmons and Thuney, I'd be good.
Yeah, getting a right guard, man,
Yeah.
is crucial
Yeah.
for Jimmy to continue to have success that I know is going to happen. You got to protect him. You got to allow him to have a clean pocket.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
I don't think people understand that this offense is going to move to another level next year. And if we have that guard, it's going to be that much easier for it to happen. Because we're basically essentially losing almost nothing on the offense. You know, we can replace running backs. I'm not too worried about running back shuffles. We can make running backs work. We can find running backs that'll do the job. Kendrick Bourne, we can keep him, and we can keep him for a very inexpensive number if we want to, if we feel like he's necessary. But there's a good chance that we'll keep him, and it'll be tough for him to make this team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. You know, those two, listen, a ball hawking safety to go along with a solid and matter of fact, very good right guard. I could actually let those three guys go and wouldn't bat an eye. Especially if we could get draft compensation for Eric Armstead in the process. I could let all of those unrestricted free agents just go.
Yeah, I agree. Well, to be honest with you, as much as I like Eric Armstead, the one that I would like to keep out of the three would be Jimmy Ward for now. I think he's more of a player that we could continue to use in the backfield.
But not if we could get Simmons in the process. Because Simmons isn't going to cost a lot more than Ward. I think when it's all said and done, you're going to see their contracts are not that far apart. And if you let them go and you could get him, that's a pretty solid upgrade.
You know what a biggest scenario too would be to tag Ward and Jimmy and trade them both to Denver for Simmons and some picks.
You can't tag them both. Right now, we're not in a situation, as far as we know, that we have two tags. Right now, according to the collective bargaining as it currently is, you got one tag.
Just one? Okay.
Yeah. And I see Ismail talking about Armstead showed me more than Ward. And Armstead is not a game changer. Armstead is going to cost you a ton of money. Jimmy Ward will probably cost you $7-8 million, maybe.
Oh yeah,
he's not going to cost a lot, and
he's not going to break the bank.
What he did show was that he did not let the big play happen, except for late in the Super Bowl. But he did not let the big play happen all year long. Now he didn't make big plays. You know, kind of a lot of his stuff went unnoticed. You know, like that hit that he put on Patrick Mahomes that caused that fumble, that turned it into a fourth down. A lot of guys aren't going to do that. So he is a solid back end player. He's not splash plays. That's not his thing. But he is a solid safety. So
and he can cover too.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, he just doesn't create turnovers. That's probably what so that's why I said Simmons is everything he is and more, because he does create turnovers and he does make splash plays.
How old is Simmons, by the way?
26 or 27.
Okay.
So still in his prime. If we could get, let's put it this way, if we could pay him $10 to $11 million a year as opposed to paying Jimmy Ward $8, I'm on board.
Now, with that said, if the situation with Aaron Armstead, we don't get no picks from him, or I don't know what's going to happen with him, but let's just remove him out of the equation for a second, and we want to go after Simmons, being that he's been tagged. What can we possibly get for him? I mean, all we got is the 5th, 6th, and the 7th, and I don't know if they're going to want something that low.
But here's the question. The question is, now that you're saying, because I wasn't aware that he was tagged, but the thing is, tag for safety is not bad. I know that, and if they're interested in Eric Armstead, that's the chess piece. You tag him and you let them figure out how much they want to pay him. And as I remember, Denver has some money. That's probably our problem with Sanders. Sanders wants $10 million a year. You've got these teams like Indy and Houston that have money to give him. Why would he stay here? We probably won't give him 3 years, $30 million. So I could see him not staying. There's too much out there for him, and he deserves it.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I'll make sure that I'm processing that information properly. And let's see here. Hold on. Make sure that I did not misread this. It's, regarding Simmons, Justin Smith, Chargers tight end, Broncos safety Simmons, Chargers tight end Henry, Jaguars pass rusher. I can't even pronounce his name. Ravens edge rusher Matt Jordan.
What was it? You said there was a name you couldn't pronounce. What team?
Yannick, the pass rusher for the Jags.
Oh yeah, that is a tough name to pronounce.
Yeah, I'm not a good reader, but and I think those are the ones that have been tagged so far. But I'll continue to look into that, make sure that it's not they want to tag them and more that they've been tagged. But just for sake of argument, let's say he has been tagged. You say that we still can go after him because he's not going to demand a much of a high draft pick.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if they're interested in Armstead and that team does need what he provides. So.
Oh, I see. In that perspective, we can consider bringing him in.
We tag Armstead, and then they can. Here's the deal: you get Armstead, we get him, and maybe like a 4th or a 5th to go along with it, and have a nice day.
No,
we figure out how we want to pay him, and we get a deal with him, and they get a deal with Armstead, and we get a 4th or 5th round pick, and see you later.
Okay, so just into that, let's say we did a trade for Simmons, or let's say Simmons was not tagged and he just walked and we picked him up in free agency. Regardless, he comes on our team. Going toward the draft, is a safety still a need with the number 31st pick, or definitely move down?
Absolutely not.
So that'll be a definitely trade down or pick up a good receiver that if he's available.
Bingo.
Okay.
Yes. Well, of course, unless I don't know if there's some standout guard at 31. It's not sexy, but it's
guards are never sexy, but they're always needed.
Yeah.
Or offensive line. I remember when we drafted Mike Lepetti, Mike Lapati, and Anthony Davis that same year. A lot of people are like, "What?" They were upset because you used 2 very close first rounders on offensive line. It's not your sexy pick. It's not your running back, your receiver, your fantasy point type of players that people look for. But we all saw how good that offensive line was when they were there. So I'm a big advocate of picking someone like Mike. What's the name from Notre Dame? Mike McGlinchey.
Yeah, McGlinchey.
He was when I was looking at the linebacker that went to Buffalo. So when we picked him out of Notre Dame, I was surprised, not upset, but surprised at it. But if you're gonna put all that money into Jimmy G, you got to keep him upright. You got to make sure you protect him. So that was a great investment, and you got to do that. So, and we are in need of a guard because Persons should not be back. He should not be back on this team, and if he is as a backup, not even then. But we definitely need his replacement.
As a note, the franchise tag for a safety, $12.735 million.
Okay, that's not bad because
No,
Jimmy will
no,
command at least about what 10, 9, 10.
no. Jimmy might be lower. I think that it's going to be a depressed market for safeties. I think the safeties got their money last year.
Hmm.
You know,
With
those were the
Thomas.
big names. Those were the big names. Honey Badger, Earl Thomas. You know, those guys got paid. These guys are not on that level. You know, and they're not going to command that dollar amount. So the fact that they tagged him, the reason you tag a safety is because that number is so low.
Okay, and real quick, and we'll move on for this, but I just want to address this to Ismael because I want to let him know that all our viewers, I am looking at your guys' comments.
Okay,
I brought this.
I want to tackle this one right here that I see.
Okay.
I bring his name up often because for some reason he stepped up and Buck went down. Honesty, Buck did not go down. That is a negative. What Buck did was his role changed because now you
Yes.
have
Yes.
two
Yes.
defensive ends and now you have an inside guy that's actually working with you. What Buck did is he got double teamed and he opened up a lot of avenues for Ford, Bosa, and especially Armstead.
Yeah.
Armstead,
He turned
when
into
you,
Justin Smith.
yeah,
Buckner did.
exactly, you know, but with a little more athleticism.
Yeah. Oh
But,
yeah.
you know, I know that people are looking at it like, yeah, DeForest Buckner. People look at sacks. Sacks is an overrated damn thing. I mean, sacks actually get on my nerves when people start talking about them because that's not all it is. That's not what being a defensive lineman is about. You know, it's a group. You know, whether you got 3, whether you got 4, it's a group, and they have to do things as a unit. You have guys that, okay, you take up these 2 blockers and your job is to hit this gap. Okay? That's what he does now. Before, he was the best pass rusher on the team. So you go get the quarterback. Well, that was his job then. Now it's not.
Yeah. We didn't have no pass rushers besides
No,
him.
no.
That's why he
Because
got the double digits.
Armstead was bye bye because nobody was helping him out, and they didn't care. Armstead and Buckner were the best 2 things on that defensive line.
Yeah.
And, Buckner by far was the better. Armstead was the weakest link. And there's no shame in that on that line. There's no shame. I mean, you got Ford, Bosa, Buckner, Armstead. Yeah, you're the weakest link. But hey, everything was opened up for you because you were the one that they single team on every play. Come on.
Yeah, and I'll let Mike answer this as well on Buckner because I know he has his thoughts on him. But yeah, Buckner, a lot of people look at it like I agree with you and disagree in a sense where sacks are not the whole thing. We as fans, we love sacks. Players love it individually because they
Sure.
want that's self pride. Knows who can get the quarterback more. It's the end game for them, but it's not necessarily something that wins or loses a game. It helps out a lot,
Yeah.
but you got to look at what Buckner is doing within the trenches of a game. You're not going to see him touching the quarterback all the time, but you're going to see him stopping the run. You're going to see him open up lanes for Nick Bosa and the D tackles, man. They don't get a lot. They're like linemen. They don't get enough respect, especially when you have 2 good pass rushers. Now, the only reason why Buckner was really magnified with sacks, again, we didn't have no pass rushers at the end.
None. 0. He was the best on the team by far.
Yeah, and he got double digits on his own on a bad line. So think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have D Ford and Nick Bosa, 2 top pass rushers, and Buckner that is capable of getting double digits if we wanted to, but that's not his role, and he's okay with that. Same thing with DJ Jones. You're not going to see DJ Jones getting a bunch of sacks, but he's going to be stopping.
That's not his thing.
Not his thing. But he's going to be stopping that run. He's going to be penetrating that line. He's going to be pushing that quarterback towards the defensive ends, and that's it. Those are their jobs. And so I want to get Mike's thought on that. On the DeForest Buckner or the topics we've been talking to Mike. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, in this particular aspect, we're talking about the presence of Buckner versus the presence of Armstead. So, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. Buckner has been there day one before. He's our guy, and I feel if we're gonna choose between the two, due to financial reasoning and talent, I mean, hey, Buckner's our guy. Now, I will say too that Armstead, I don't want to minimize what he's done because the funny thing is a lot of people were against having Armstead because he's been hurt majority of his career. But now that he came back healthy and he balled out this year, despite whether it being that he has a lot of great pass rushers around him, he still did his thing. He could have came in and not performed, but he did. So I'm not one to take anything away from Armstead, but I don't value Armstead this year over what Buckner has been doing for the 49ers for years. So with that being said, we have to do what we have to do that's best for the organization. It would be a hard pill to swallow, but we'll get over it.
I
And
agree.
not to mention, could you imagine with the two defensive ends they have in Denver, he will probably flourish if he ended up there.
Oh yeah. He'll turn into the Buckner situation for us.
Yeah,
Most
like
likely
man,
for Denver.
I'm big on the trenches, man. Living down south, we see a lot of these teams in the SEC having dominated trenches, and in football, if you can have a great line on both sides of the ball, you pretty much got a high chance to win that Super Bowl. You know, so I'm not against getting a good caliber player on either side of the line. Like when we went D line and drafted all these D line guys year after year after year, now people see the fruits of it because we were dominating, and that's what you got to do. You got to keep getting a stout line in the trenches to have a shot at winning that Super Bowl because every team's not built like that. A lot of these teams are going after big brand names or they're building with skill positions. They're not prioritizing the trenches. And if San Francisco is one of the few teams that's going to do it, we're going to grind and pound and beat people up. That's what we need to do.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Well, just to change the topic a little bit, a lot of you guys know that unfortunately our third round pick a few years back has not panned out for us by the name of Solomon Thomas.
That'd be a third overall, not
third overall. Excuse me. Yes, that's correct. I apologize. Third overall, which should have been a 2, but because we traded back with the Bears, he became the 3 overall pick. Can you guys see him being traded possibly for a 5th round pick? And if he was, would you guys be willing to take a 5th round pick? If I'll jump all over if it was a 4th, but a 5th, would you guys be okay with that?
I'm almost to the point where I take a bag of Snickers for.
No, come on, this be real.
No, I'm pretty.
He's
close.
Not that bad.
If you give me anything that's a draft pick, I probably let him go. Just based on his cap number alone, he's worth getting rid of.
Yeah, he's gonna be demanding some money. Go ahead, Mike.
Here's my thing, man. Solomon Thomas has not lived up to the hype that you remember, man. When we was doing the draft, there was so many Niners fans that wanted Solomon Thomas to the point they was going crazy if we wouldn't get him. And when we got him, they act like we won the Super Bowl. Now those same fans are turning around saying, "Man, I don't know about him." So, you know what I'm saying? Solomon Thomas, he's been here. He hasn't lived up to that top billing in my eyes. So here's how I feel. If we got a 5th round for him, all I know is George Kittle was a 5th rounder. So I'm okay with getting something in return for him that we can make valuable because 5th rounds doesn't really mean anything. If you can get a gem out there in the 5th round like we did with Kittle, I mean, we can get a quality player that can get production. So more depth at the least. And at the best, a potential starter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and I was a big advocate for Solomon Thomas as well. I watch a lot of Stanford football, Cardinals, so I saw him play. He was very great. Unfortunately, some players just do not transcend into the NFL very well, no matter how good they are in the college level. And I know that a lot of situation with his sister and a lot of personal stuff, but
yeah,
it's not even. to me, it's not even his mental thing. It's just he can't get away from the guards. I mean, he doesn't loosen up from the guards, and then when he does, he overshoots the quarterback. He always seems like he's behind the quarterback most of the time. So every time he's close to the quarterback, but he overshoots him. So I would like to put him. I would love to train him in a package, maybe with Eric someone. But if I get a 5th round pick, I'm okay at this point. I mean, there's got to be points in the season where you just got to count your cost and realize that Solomon Thomas has been a bust, at least on our system. I'm not saying he's a bust in general. He can definitely, hopefully, work out on another team. But
there's a very good chance he just needs a change of scenery. That's true.
Maybe the Bucks will be somewhere good to be traded to.
And I want to make this clear. You know, I'm not saying that if anyone wanted Solomon Thomas that they were crazy for doing that, because in college I don't watch a lot of Stanford football. You know, I'm down south, so I don't see a lot of the Pac-12 now?
Pac-12, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't see a lot of Stanford football to really give a critique on him. But I'm aware that he played really well at the college level for his respective program, and he certainly was definitely worth. I think the thing with me, why I was not high on Solomon Thomas at that time, because there were other players and needs at that time that I felt, you know, a little bit more geared to, and I also felt that Stanford connection with Lynch.
Yeah, that's right. That's it right there.
Was my biggest concern, because I felt like with Lynch being a brand new GM, you know, a very inexperienced GM, I'm like, I hope he doesn't allow his relationship to supersede the need for the team. That's how I was feeling. So that's why I wasn't high on him. But, you know, his talent as far as what he did in college was certainly praiseworthy from what, you know, a lot of people are saying and from the little bit that I saw. But at the end of the day, we don't never know who's going to pan out. You know, when we got George Kittle, a lot of us didn't know that he was going to be the best tight end in the football league. And you heard me say it over everybody that's a tight end, including Kelsey. I don't care. George Kittle is a better overall tight end than everybody. Period. So, you know what I'm saying? Those you hit or miss in the draft. It's that simple. We can't win them all. No team wins them all. But as long as we win our fair share, we all right. So he didn't pan out. Move on.
Yeah, with Kittle, and I agree with you. I'm not saying that it's just as a Niner fan. I think he is overall the best complete,
no doubt,
tight end
in the
NFL.
That man blocks. He does it all, bro. He's playing on the injury most of this year, and he's doing his thing, man. Like, no doubt, he does everything and more.
And he will surpass Kelsey this year, man. I guarantee it.
I'm saying he's better than him.
Did that already.
No, but I'm trying. For us, we know that, and he knows that. But for a lot of the rest of the NFL to catch up, I know he'll do that. And I watched him in Iowa; he was great there. But I didn't realize he was going to be this great. And so you're right. I like our scouting team. I mean, I love Dre Greenlaw from Arkansas. That kid. Another fifth rounder, starting linebacker.
Stop in Seattle, man. We gotta love him.
Yeah, so there are definitely some good scouts for the San Francisco 49ers, man, and we have our whole scouting team. So, but there is different. It seems like the picks that are high are always the ones that people look at, like the first rounders, because those are the most names that are talked about during the draft period, or the fantasy draft, or whatever they call it. The mock drafts, you hear these top names.
Fairy tale draft.
Yeah, but you don't hear you don't hear the Greenlaws. You don't hear you didn't hear the George Kittles. But those are the players that the
you
scouts
didn't hear the Tom Brady or the Richard Sherman either.
Yeah, Tom Brady went in the 6th round. I mean, yeah, Tom Brady chicken legs, and Richard Sherman 5th rounder. That's an argument that I have with a Seahawks fan, because he said that he went number 1 to the Seahawks, but I'm like, dude,
did he get drafted the same year as Earl Thomas?
Yes.
Earl Thomas was the first round.
Yes, he was, but I told him he went 5th to you guys, and he was like, besides, no, he argued. I'm like, and then he looked it up in Google, and then he just left the chat. I'm like, okay, I mean, you're a Seahawks fan, and we're gonna. You don't even know where your corner was drafted, but that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, man. So we're definitely good down the line in the 5th round. So if we trade Solomon Thomas for a 5th round, we can definitely, especially with right now this year having a lot of good receivers out there that we can possibly look at, and that we can look to. Now, real quick, as we carry this forward, do you think that we should add, whether it's by free agency or draft alone, at least 2 more receivers to our roster?
Free agency, no.
But okay, how about during the draft? Excuse me.
Yeah, but the question is where. And it would be nice if we traded back and we had those more options, because I don't really feel like 31 is where you're going to find. It's like you're going to either overshoot in the draft or you're going to, reach. It's a bad spot for receiver. Um, I'm hoping that we are able to trade back and, get some more draft capital and maybe be able to pick up a receiver, because there's going to be good NFL receivers through the first 3 rounds for sure.
Real quick, talking about the draft, just a simple mind. I want you guys your thoughts real quickly. As you guys heard, they already canceled the draft due to the virus scenario going on. If the draft gets canceled, how does that work? Does it get pushed on to a later date, or?
Well, they have to draft at some point. So, yeah, I don't know that they're going to do that. And I don't know that maybe what they'll just do is they'll do it by satellite, where, they'll bring camera crews into the guy's house. Teams will be, have their little groups in their little war room, will be local instead of having it all in, what is it, Vegas, that the draft is supposed to be in this year?
Vegas,
yeah, maybe they don't go to Vegas. Maybe everybody just stays local. They bring camera crews in and they work it like that.
Okay. I just never seen a scenario like this, so I kind of thought about it. How do they do it?
Yeah, they'll probably separate everybody more than likely and do it like that. I don't think they'll cancel it.
So it'll go for that date. It'll just be televised.
I think they'll just do it differently. I don't think that they'll cancel it.
Interesting. What's your thoughts on that, Mike?
About the alternatives, if they are you asking about like canceling the draft?
Yeah. Do you think they'll push it to a later date and bring everybody together, or do you think they'll do the what Nate's saying, that where they'll keep the date, but they won't cancel. They'll just won't do it at Vegas. They'll do it televised through satellite.
I mean, the right thing to do is keep everything on schedule and do it, via social media or however they can do it. But because they're such a big brand, National Football League, and reputations means things to them just with how they handle things, who knows, man? They might decide to push it up later. I mean, because it wouldn't surprise me either way. But I as a person that's looking forward to the San Francisco 49ers, what we're doing with our draft, I would hope that they keep it on schedule and find alternative methods to pursue the NFL draft if we're still dealing with this situation.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Just want to bring that up because I want the fan base to kind of get the thoughts on that. But I thought about that. I'm like, man, I've never really seen a draft be postponed or canceled. But
yeah, that's like first right there. I don't recall any draft ever being.
Well, this is kind of an unprecedented ordeal when you think about it. I mean, they're treating this like a true pandemic, and I know in my lifetime there hasn't been one.
Yeah, I agree. Didn't the president just do a thing of emergency or address? What do they call that? Today, addressed that. I forgot there's a word for it. Something emergency or
state of emergency.
State of emergency. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So this thing is they're trying to nip it in the bud. They're trying to get it, but they don't know how. I mean, I never seen the NBA, baseball, and all this stuff get affected like this in my lifetime.
Tournament, no, never.
No, NASCAR doing it now.
Yeah, when they shut stuff like this down, it's usually um, contractual stuff like labor agreements. Not uh, some virus.
Yeah, and that usually happens off season going into the season. They don't start it, but
Yeah,
never shut it down while the season's going, like
yeah.
the
I've
NBA.
never. Yeah, baseball.
Oh yeah, but that's
'94.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, it's been in. And then real quick, as we're not really about the virus, but just with the guys that are hearing you guys, what's your guys' thoughts of not having no sports right now of any type of sports? What's your feelings on that?
Hmm. No sports sucks, but um, can I say that I really care about the NBA season being finalized? I think they played enough games as it is. Um, a late start to a already marathon Major League Baseball season. Who cares? Um, the NCAA tournament that hurts.
March Madness, yeah,
Oh man, yeah, that one hurts. Um, NHL. I'm not really a hockey fan, so I don't
yeah,
really
neither
have
of me.
skin
Yeah.
in that one. So I can't really say too much about that. I'm sure that hockey fans, they're probably mixed bag. Some of them probably feel like I do about NBA. Well, you know, season too long anyway. Or they feel like, oh, I miss my hockey, and they're into every game. You know, they play roughly as many games as the NBA does.
Yeah, all I can say, there's a lot of happy wives out there. A lot of happy wives. And there's a lot of guys out there that don't know. They're twiddling their thumbs. Man. They just don't know what to do. Because I love NBA, baseball, not really hockey, but NASCAR and so forth. But especially NBA, especially with the Lakers, the way they've been playing this year. Um, but with that said, there's nothing more important than safety, especially to the human being. I mean, to us, to the people. Safety always comes first. Sports are fun; they're fun to watch, but when it comes to the safety, you got to put that first, man. And so I understand exactly why they're doing what they're doing for safety purposes. But as a fan, though, as a man, it just sucks that there's no sports to watch. You know what I mean? So, did you guys stock up on toilet paper yet?
Nah, bro.
Whatever.
I'm gonna be honest, man. My take is a little different than majority of the people, as usual. Um, I do respect the fact that they're taking a stance to protect people from safety from this, but I also think majority of the people, bro, don't really know enough about the coronavirus to really have an opinion on it because they're reacting based on what the media and the world is doing right now. In my city, Disney World is closed, so that's normally due to a hurricane. And to see this, I heard a joke in Florida. We were saying in Florida, the whole world sees how we feel when we get hit with hurricanes now. When you go to the store and everything's empty. So, um, but the reality is, man, I don't think a lot of people realize, man, there's so many viruses like the flu is still more prevalent than this human coronavirus. The human coronavirus has been around for over, for a while. They had a movie back on it about 2011. It's been on your Lysol cans forever. So it's just the fact that people who are not aware or who are not educated on this are reacting to these sudden and immediate deaths and the contagious at this fast rate and not understanding that influenza, the flu, you know what I'm saying? These type of viruses do actually more damage than this. And not to minimize it, because I know that people have passed away, and my heart goes out to anyone who's affected. But I am saying, I think as far as
Yeah, there's more cases when it comes to the flu. You're
man,
right.
I just think as human beings, bro, humanity in general, there's too many people that are panicking and not thinking with sense. Buying toilet paper, all the Lysol wipes is not going to prevent you from getting that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like putting a mask on your face, if you got it, you won't even know until like 14 days later. So, I mean, it's one of those things that if you get it, you get it, bro. You just have to do your best to try to keep your hands clean, which people should have been doing. It makes me wonder how many people weren't washing their hands to begin with.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You,
If-
you know what
if-
catches me, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
is you got these people running out getting water and toilet paper. What is it about those two things that, like, if I get the flu, I don't run out and get water and toilet paper. I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
I heard the toilet paper. How it was explained is, if you get 10 people and one person sneezes, 10 people shit their pants. A fear of catching something, so that's where the toilet paper comes in. But you're right.
do you,
The
do you know
food's been out forever, and nobody's
what,
been getting toilet paper for that.
Bro,
some of the
that
things I've seen, Beto? I have a neighbor that him and his wife came back from Costco about 2 weeks ago, and one has this big full size truck, and she's got this big full size SUV, a Suburban, and they came back with this thing full of toilet paper, both of them. I mean, we're talking about, those big 36 roll things of toilet paper. They probably had about 35, 40 of them. What are you going to do with all that?
Cover their faces.
I mean, think about it. In a family of 4, it's hard to use one roll of toilet paper a day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of toilet paper.
I find it ironic too. There's a lot of people who believe that there's some type of planned things going on. I'm not gonna get into that, but they basically saying like every election year there's this big epidemic. But I would take it a step further. If they want to be honest about it, I can go back to like 2001. There was always a new virus. Remember we had like the swine flu back then. We had the Zika. We had Ebola. And you had all these different type of viruses each year that people were getting this similar reaction. The difference with this one is they're shutting everything down, whereas the other ones they didn't shut everything down like this. So, but the point is, you still had a new virus. Like every year, you had a new virus or some type of catastrophic event that is supposed to be the end of the world, and people go out and buy up everything. Only like after a month or two later, to have all this stock of stuff that they don't know what to do with. So
Yeah,
it just goes to show that humanity has more fear than faith.
unfortunately, yeah. When the rubber meets the road, it's
Yeah.
the evidence is in the pudding. When you see all the shelves, and I mean, Costco's have lines going from the door all the way to the parking lot of people
You know
waiting
what
to
the
get in.
doors
I'm
are
like,
for? I mean, what the lines are for, Beto? Because the Costco employees are wiping down the baskets before you go in. And so you have to line up to get your basket right there at the door. And they're wiping the basket down completely.
okay, yeah. I have not been nowhere near Costco by the.
Yeah, me neither. That was my parents that told me that one.
Yeah, but that makes sense though. I don't want to go through that, man. But
nah.
And I'm not trying to minimize people's fear. You're right. Those that have faith, those that believe in God or whatever you believe in, it has to be a reason for everything. But not to get too much away from football or our topic tonight, but prayers do go out to everyone that has been affected, unfortunately, with this disease. But it shall pass. Just revelation, man. It's a plague. What I mean? And it will pass.
Yeah, let's try to keep it in perspective too. Really and truly, this is another virus similar to a flu. It is killing people with very weak immune systems.
Right.
The vast majority of the people that are dying from this are 60 or older. There hasn't been a case of a kid under the age of 10 yet. So that means it hasn't affected an infant as of yet. So
yeah, people with disabilities or not disabilities, but like diabetes or heart issues could be a cause of problem. But
usually it's older people, that have weakened immune systems because of any number of health issues. It's not really, like I said, like us here, or the couple of guys in the comments,
I should
we're
have put
not
one of
really
these
the
on.
target. Even if we do catch something like this, we're going to get through it. Yeah. We've had the flu before. There are strands of the flu that we've probably had that are worse than this virus. I don't know what all the hoopla is about, what all the panic is about. We've had plenty of people die from the flu.
Yeah, I don't understand why people will get these. I had this is not for the flu thing. I had these when I spray stuff in my backyard. But you're right. Putting on those masks, putting on gloves.
That mask doesn't help you.
No,
The
It
only
really
mask
doesn't.
that helps you is the medical mask called an N95. These little masks that they run around here with, it does nothing. You might as
It
well
does
walk
not.
around without it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's just I don't breathe paint or whatever. For little things I do at home, but
Yeah,
not
it's
for not
perfect
for
for that. Perfect for that.
not for that. But I do see people at the store walking with those type of or they wear bandanas on their
Yeah.
nose, and I'm like,
Yeah,
that
it's
thing is
crazy watching.
flapping all over underneath.
Yeah.
I'm like, it can go through your eyes. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole thing is you gotta just hygiene, man. Just wash your hands each and every time you use, especially a public restaurant. I've seen where I've gone to public restaurants and I see somebody come out from the toilet and just walk out, and I'm like, wow, that's to each his own. But yeah, well, you don't, you got to just wash your hands. Make that a habit. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
enough
because
with. Go ahead.
there's a fact of the matter. Human being average touches their face 90 times a day. I mean, just sit up and watch this podcast. We're on an hour. Watch how many times we touch our face.
Yeah.
I'm doing it right now as we speak.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I brought it up. But,
It's funny. It's funny. Yeah, you're right. I'm like the other day. I went to Big Lots and I touched the basket and I touched some things and I must have touched my face like 3 times. I'm like, oh shit, I'm done.
Mhm.
If it was there, you know what I mean? Because even when you're trying to wash your hands, it's just, man, it's when it's your turn. It's just your turn. Unfortunately,
it's true.
I mean,
do the
you gotta
best
be.
you can.
Yeah, you gotta be smart. Protect
That's all
yourselves,
you can
but.
do. Yeah.
Just be like me. Stay home and do lives on the Niners Fitness podcast on YouTube, and you'll be fine. You don't have to worry. Don't
Get
go
my
out.
fresh air. I'm not worried about it. Honestly, it doesn't. I feel like we got so, like Nate said, man, the flu is actually statistically damn near just as bad, man, worse.
Worse.
And I mean, diabetes kills more than this, bro.
Yeah, I know I'm
People,
diabetic, so don't say it.
people have no problem with going to a buffet or eating unhealthy food every day, but they're not panicking over that. So it's all about priorities and awareness. And being, to me, man, I
Ain't
always
that the
say this:
truth, man? I've been in a
being
big bowl of ice cream and I'm diabetic, so I know exactly what you mean, man.
being
With
misinformed, being misinformed is one of the worst things that a human being can ever, experience. Because misinformation leads to other avenues of
well,
panic.
that's where the fear comes in. It's not
Yeah,
knowing,
like
the
like
unknown.
like look at getting into our sticking with our 49er football, being misinformed about why we lost the Super Bowl based on what idiots who aren't even Niner fans got to say about our team. You know what I'm saying? Misinformation. Then they'll have the media has a way of controlling people because people are drawn
Absolutely.
in to be controlled. Like the minute you accept education that's systematically controlled, you've already been duped because you're not allowed to think for yourself. You're not allowed to experience. Some of the most intelligent people are the people that don't read systematic books, that live in societies where they're natural in their nature, or that travel. Those are more, to me, those are more real intelligent people. Anyone who's traveled, anyone who has a diverse background of experience of other cultures or other provinces or states, and understanding how to adapt, those are more intelligent people than those who just sit behind a book or a social news feed, and then that's all they're limited to in their surroundings. You know what I mean? So they are systematically able to control majority of human beings through a box in your home. It's amazing.
Yep, television or radio.
They
Absolutely.
do it with our 49ers, man. They got people telling the Niner fans that we lost the Super Bowl because Kyle Shanahan blew it like he did in Atlanta, and people running with it. And most of these people didn't even remember the Atlanta Falcons game to be able to really say a statement like that. And then to compare our team and their team is ridiculous. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, two different scenarios, man. Absolutely.
very two different scenarios,
And the
bro.
thing about in Atlanta, he's not even the head coach. He's the offensive coordinator. He didn't have the the last good call.
We only had a 10-point lead, man. They acting like we didn't have the same lead Atlanta did. You know what I mean? There's a whole set of differences, man. We have a very young team. Atlanta had some more experienced players. They have a Julio Jones. We don't have that. So, yeah, we got a George Kittle, but come on, man. We didn't have, a lot of things that they had, and they didn't
There
have a
was
lot of
only
things that we have.
there was only what 3 players on the field that has been in the Super Bowl before, and that's Sherman, um, uh, Staley, and Sanders. Everybody else, that's in a 53-man roster, so you got 50 players that have never been in the Super Bowl before. Now, given that Kansas City has a coach that has been through a loss as a head coach, has more experience, and our defense just got tired. Our defense got tired. A couple of plays here and there that I just watched Super Bowl again, as painful as it was. It was fun all the way into the fourth quarter. At the fourth quarter part, it becomes painful. But to give up 21 points, I got to put that on the defense, man. I can't put that on an offense. I can't put that on Jimmy G. Now, could he throw a pass here or there? Yes. Could Sanders would catch the ball? Could have Kittle? The woulda, could have. But as a defense, especially when you're rated a top 5 defense, to give up 21 points with how many minutes left? 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I put all that on the defense. Now, I don't blame them completely because they were tired, but I do put that on Robert Saleh and on the defense, if anything. But I don't put that on the offense. The offense did what they had to do. But to sit there and say it was Shanahan's fault personally because of what he did or didn't do with Atlanta, and people don't realize too, and you guys agree with this, that we should have ran the ball more, or we should have. They don't see how many people were being stacked up in the box, or if let's say we would have ran and they would have stopped us, well, we should have passed more. To those fans, those critics, you can never give them what they want to hear. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. If they would have ran and not been successful.
We'll shut all that down real quick. It's 2 things I'm going to say. If Emmanuel Sanders catches the pass, they wouldn't have been talking about running the ball.
Nope.
Okay? If Jimmy G didn't overthrow Emmanuel Sanders, nobody says anything about running the ball. We're up 17 because, I predicted us to win by like 17. That would have been it right there. Yep. Would have been up 17. Number 2, Jimmy G was almost like 90% completion rate up until those last 6 minutes or going into the fourth quarter, whatever. Why would you change something that's working? They're stacking the box. We were killing them. They got a couple tip balls. So it's no guarantee if we run that we get first downs. People like mostly got a 6-7 yard gain. Yeah, but you got to, if you're talking about running the entire possession, there's no guarantee he's going to get that when they're stacking the box. Correct. And the way Kansas City's defense was playing that particular game, this wasn't Green Bay. This wasn't Minnesota. Kansas City is playing better than those teams against our run.
Defense, yes.
Yeah, so for me, I don't think our defense lost the game because we can spin that and say our offense should have kept scoring. They know Kansas City has a habit in this postseason to come back. So we knew they were going to make a late push at some point. Theirs just came later than the other AFC games, but they've been known to come back. So we got to stay aggressive. What I saw personally, the only reason we lost the Super Bowl, in my humble opinion, is we got experience caught up with it. And I've been saying that a little bit about experience was my only concern because I felt like we was going to win the game. But I did say I was surprised that we got there because we're an inexperienced team. Most of these guys have never played in a Super Bowl at that level. You look at a guy like Deebo Samuel. You know what I mean? He's never been there. You look at George Kittle. He hasn't been there. We had a lot of guys that's never been there as a player. So even Garoppolo, he's been there
but on the bench,
but he's never been there as a starter. So when you take all those guys, all those amount of guys versus what they have over there in KC, hey, experience caught up. That's the moments that matter. See, next year we're going to be a better team because we're more experienced. So that throw Garoppolo overthrew will be a completion more than likely next time around at that level because he's had that experience. Experience, it helps. I'm not saying it prevails all the time. Sure, there's some Super Bowls where guys come in and win and they're not as experienced, but for the most part, experience, helps a lot more than not being experienced.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, decision making. That's why a lot of people want Tom Brady to come in because of his
Oh my
experience.
God.
But there's
This
a
is our
point
guy.
where your ability cannot keep up with your experience. And listen, I agree. Listen, to all the Niner fans
I know
that
you
are
do. I'm talking about those.
the wishy-washy Niner fans that listen, Jimmy G. I mean, I don't understand what the guy has to do even more. His first complete season that he's played a full season, he takes your 49ers to the Super Bowl. Okay? Name it. I mean, geez, he didn't win it. Okay, but and then they tell me, well, because of the situation with Green Bay and Minnesota, which is foolish. If I don't know, you had Joe Montana at his peak. If we were running the ball the way we were running the ball against those defense, Joe Montana would have been throwing either. You don't need to throw in those positions. Jimmy did everything. I just finished watching the game against the Saints yesterday, and there's so much promise that Jimmy G has to offer. There's so much he's going to bring to the field next year. More experience, a complete season.
Hello. I don't hear you, Beto. Hello.
Hey, what's up, bro?
I lost Beto completely.
My phone's about to die. I'm like 1%. I had to go get my charger.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. But yeah, I was just tripping off of the people. They're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, and the bottom line is when you look at that game, look at the 2-3 tipped passes and look at what was behind them. Wide open players.
Oh
They
yeah,
were, and all three of these tipped passes were by players that were blocked out of the play completely that were trying to rush the passer. It was just dumb luck. That they happened to be there to make those plays. You put those unfortunate events around with a couple of coverage busts, especially that 3rd and 15, 44-yard pass to Tyreek Hill. That was a bad one. And you put that together with that, and this is what you end up with. You end up losing the game that you had in hand. But people miss that. Everything was done right with those plays. You abandoned the run too soon. You did this. Now, that play was the perfect play call on all of those occasions. A guy got his hand on the ball. They did not have these guys covered. These were easy first downs. Had these balls not got tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Can you guys hear me okay?
yeah.
We do now. Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure. I don't know if I was live or not. So I just want to make sure. Okay, go ahead.
What you're gonna hear though, Nate, is the ball wouldn't have got tipped had we ran. That's what they're gonna say.
Okay, I'm not hearing all that. That's crap. If
But
you
what they
throw the
fail to
ball
realize
and
is
you're 18 of 22 for 195 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and you've got 9 men in the box, you throw the football.
what they're failing to realize is we're barely under 7 minutes. They act as if a 10-point lead against a quarterback like Mahomes is a lot of cushion to run the ball, as if he's not capable of coming down scoring quickly. That's what he does. We knew it was coming. So we have to say to ourselves, it's our time to be aggressive. Had we went conservative, we would have been saying, I'm more worried about Mahomes rather than me trying to put our foot on the gas.
And you know what? Like I said, you look at those plays. Don't just look at the fact they tipped the ball. Look at what was around it. Look at where that ball was going, and look at who it was going to, and look at what the end result was about to be. First down on every one of those. I don't know what more would have happened, but all those plays, first down.
Yeah,
Easy.
I mean, fans, like I said, bro, any Niner fan that would say that obviously is allowing the talking heads to get to them because they're not watching the game. Again, Atlanta's not the same scenario.
I'll be right back in a minute.
Yeah.
They had a much bigger lead, and they had a different opponent and a different playing style. You know, Mahomes he didn't really have a great game up until those 6 minutes, but
No.
Tom Brady is a
As a matter of
different
fact, he was being outplayed by Jimmy, clearly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Mahomes is a dual threat kind of guy who is capable of running. You know, he can pass, but he's capable of running. And Brady's not that type of dude, so it's a different type of dynamic. Had we played a pocket passer in that situation, I don't think they come back. But when we play a quarterback that can run and we're aggressive with our blitz and trying to get to the quarterback, that's the stuff that happens, big plays. That's what Mahomes went for, and he got it. Their defense played well enough down the stretch to make plays, enough plays to win. So that's the difference once again, I believe, between experience and not. They were there they were the AFC championship last year, so they understood what that level was like and what they need to do to get to the next level. We're gonna get that same experience. To me, we got to the Super Bowl faster than I anticipated, so that's great because now I'm thinking next year we can go back. I really believe we'll go back. Assuming we stay healthy, we can go back.
No doubt.
Yeah. So I don't know if I don't know what Kansas City is doing next year, but if they get back there, I believe we beat them. But I'm not sure that they get back. I'm sure they're going to be losing some parts too. I don't know what they have over there though. I really don't care personally. I'm focused on us. So
yeah, that's for sure. You know, they're in a pretty good situation. As a matter of fact, their path to get back to the Super Bowl is easier than ours.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, in that, you don't have as much competition in the AFC as you do the NFC. NFC is loaded. So, our path is going to be difficult. So, but we are set. And if we make good decisions during free agency and, do a couple of good things in the draft, we're going to be primed and poised to compete for another Super Bowl.
Yep, coming to Tampa Bay, baby.
Yeah.
That one I'll definitely be there. A lot more feasible for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Beto's having some connection issues. But
Oh, is that what it is? Because he said he'd be back, but I don't know what he was doing.
Oh, I don't know. Don't know if he's still going live or what. But I'm about to call it tonight though. Cause
Yeah.
I'm up late over here. But whether we live or not, great show. If you on the East Coast, man, appreciate you rocking with us, man. I'm. This is our love because it's past 1 a.m. over here, so this is love. You know what I mean? This is true love for the team. But I enjoy it. It's great, man. It's fun.
Yeah. Likewise. It's just fun to get together and talk Niner football, talk football in general. As long as we leave the XFL out of it. But oh, by the way, funny, I didn't hear them talking about canceling those games.
Right. Yeah, that's weird, right?
Do they still have is there still an XFL or did they just cancel the whole season?
I'm not sure. I haven't even been watching, to be honest with you.
They canceled it before it even started.
That's funny. But did they cancel the XFL because of the reason I wouldn't watch it, or did they cancel the XFL because of all of this going on? Because I know first couple of games I heard a little something, but I haven't heard nothing since.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was because of you, Nate.
I was saying, is it because of the way I felt about it that it just sucked?
No, actually, it was good.
No,
I was enjoying it.
Well, I mean, like you enjoy Pop Warner, I guess, but
It's football.
I would much
And-
rather watch Pop Warner because
and
the skill set in Pop Warner, you've got talented players that are on their
Yeah.
level. Where when you got XFL players, you've got basically it's like watching semi-pro football.
Well, there's nothing else to watch.
I'm not that desperate, man. I got better things to do.
Not
hey,
me,
we
bro.
got
Not me.
soccer, man. Get into it.
No, I can't watch soccer. I start breathing too hard
Yeah.
watching those guys run back and forth.
Actually, I think that I would try to just stare at my ceiling and wait to see if paint would peel off of my ceiling rather than to watch XFL.
The only time I stare at my son is when I'm having sex, brother.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's practice.
So
There you go, Beto. Yeah.
I'm being honest. The only time I look at my son, otherwise I don't know what color my children is.
Oh man.
A couple of stains up there, but that's all I know.
XFL.
Kids, make sure you in the bed right now. You should be asleep, kids.
No, I set this up for no children. These are 18 and up.
What?
Yeah. This show's only for 18 and up.
Yeah, so they can watch me drink whiskey online, I guess. So.
Oh yeah. You can definitely drink whiskey and alcohol. Yeah, I set this up just for adults. I'm not for necessarily that thing I just brought up, but if it ever went that way, this show is just. I know kids like to watch football as well, but it can get heated. People can say comments. I don't think it's appropriate for
rather
kids.
watch arena football than the XFL. You are 100% right because arena football was a much better product than the XFL ever could be.
Well, but everybody got to start somewhere.
No, they don't.
I'm pretty sure that when the NFL first started, we were not alive.
Well,
They said the same thing. Come on.
Had
The NFL did not start being the NFL just like that.
I can't confirm or deny that because that's way before anything I knew about it. Well, from
But
the
there's
time
people,
I
our
knew
ancestors,
NFL,
that can.
and when I look at, there was an NFL, and from that point, I can look at other leagues that tried, and pretty much all of them have failed except for the AFL. The AFL really kind of outdid the NFL, and for a lot of reasons could have, just went up against it and saw how it would have went. But, you had Lamar Hunt that decided to merge, which really ticked off Al Davis because they were the ones running the AFL.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that, you saw what they did and how they brought their product along. And then you look at all these other leagues, and I'm going to bring one league as an outlier, which is the USFL. The USFL did one thing that none of those other leagues did, with the exception of the AFL. What they did was they had quality players in their league from the word say go. There were Jim Kellys. There were Reggie Whites. There were Herschel Walkers. I mean, these guys were in there. These were legitimate players in the NFL and would have been from day one. You did not have that in the XFL. The XFL was a bunch of players that were rejected from NFL teams. Who wants to watch that? That's like watching preseason. Yeah, I want to watch that.
Before I call it a night, I'm gonna ask y'all this because we talked about this off air, and for the fans too. I know that Nate brought up about XFL could be better if they took like collegiate players, right?
Ooh, yeah, that was mine.
Okay. So I actually ran that idea across some guys who watched XFL, and their response was, "That's the craziest idea they ever heard." So I asked them why, and they said, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids are not ready physically to be in the professional level like that. Their bodies need to grow. So college gets them trained better, and XFL coaches, how do we know how properly trained they are to get them ready for the NFL? That was the counter.
That's a very shallow-sighted man. We're keeping them away from the big-time pros for the most part. The XFL would have been basically a league for just players that were of college age. It wouldn't have been any more than that. But what you're doing is you're giving them the opportunity to make money. And
So
so
you're
basically,
saying the XFL wouldn't have the older players in it?
No.
Everybody at the same age?
Basically, what you're doing is you're giving a parallel to the college game. So you've got these guys, instead of going to college, because you have to be 3 years removed from high school to be in the NFL draft. Okay, but you don't want to go to college. You major in football anyway. Go to the XFL, get paid, play for 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is, and then you go to the NFL. Whenever you are NFL eligible, whenever you are ready to where you can truly be drafted in the NFL, then you go. It's basically like a minor league system, but what you're using is true college football talent and not NFL rejects that can't make it in the NFL. So you would have
you're basically saying
you
no
would have
NFL
players
rejects, only college guys.
Yeah, basically college age guys that would never be able to play. Because what you're doing is you're giving an avenue for these guys to get paid instead of going to college, where they're not really going to college to be college football to be college students. They're going there to be football players.
Of course.
And there's a lot of people
I
in
can
college
understand
like
that point.
Yeah.
But now you're taking away from their education.
I'm not taking away from the education. They're not there for education. They don't care about education.
But they have to have an education to be on the team, though. Come on.
They have to in college, but not if you had another league.
That's what I'm saying.
It is no different than what baseball has. You can go to college and play baseball, or you can go to the minor league. And basically, this would be a minor league
format, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm okay with a minor league that has talent. I don't want to see the NFL bust. I want to see young guys emerging in a league. I can get with that, because what it's going to do is it's going to dilute the college game, and the guys are going to go get paid. And it would actually be a good league if you were trying to compare it to college. You don't compare it to the NFL.
What do you think about the criticisms of XFL coaches not having the knowledge of college coaches to train those guys to get ready for the NFL?
It depends on who your college coaches are. And you know what? If you had, quality players in the XFL, I assure you the quality coaches would be there too. Who's caring about coaching a bunch of NFL reject scrubs, And what if you get to choose? You're getting like the quarterback from Clemson is playing in this league. The quarterback Joe Burrow that just left LSU is in this league. Now you've got these guys in this league, and guys of that ilk.
Ohio State quarterback.
Well, the Ohio State defensive end. If you got these kind of guys in that league and they didn't go to college, now all of a sudden the college football is diluted, but you've got this league with 6 to 8 teams, probably 8. And all of a sudden, now you have a very talented group of young guys that shuttles in, new guys all the time, just like the college game.
So that should be more to students that their ability to learn is not that great.
No. Come on now. It doesn't have.
Otherwise, why not just go to college?
No. What is the magic to go to college to play football? You shouldn't have to. And why should you play for free for somebody? You're playing for a college education? Come on, really? I mean, you shouldn't.
Well, you're still paying for that. Oh, unless you're on a scholarship.
You shouldn't have to. Just like I said, baseball. Baseball, you got guys that went to college, and you got guys that went to the minor leagues right out of high school. We don't say anything about them. We don't have a word to say about it. You know, just like basketball. Basketball has now forced people to go to college or somewhere, and usually it's college, for 1 year before they go to the NBA. Well, they could actually make a very interesting league out of that if they wanted to, and skip the college game. But
well, what's his name? Brandon Jennings did that.
Who?
There you go.
Brandon Jennings. He was supposed to go to Arizona, and he ended up going to overseas, and then he went to the NBA.
Yeah, you know, and
yeah. Well, Kobe was another one that went straight from high school too.
Well, that's something
in Garnett.
That's a thing of the past. You can't do that anymore. There's a number of guys. I mean, you can go back as far as like Moses Malone, Daryl Dawkins. These guys didn't go to college. They came straight out of high school. But
Dwight Howard, Amari Stoudemire.
He had a lot of them. Yeah,
Kevin Garnett.
There's several. But the thing is, it doesn't happen anymore. You got to have 1 year removed from high school to be in the NBA. And I don't understand that.
You have to be 1 year removed from high school?
Yes.
That's why Brandon Jennings went around it, because he's like, why would I go to college for 1 year, but I can get paid that 1 year and still go to the NBA?
Bingo. Just like, Michael Irvin went to the University of Miami for 3 years. Warren Sapp went to the University of Miami for 3 years. Why? They could have played in a league like that, and they would have, with that kind of talent in a league like that, it would give you something that you would be interested in, as opposed to, the standouts in this league are Josh Johnson. Well, what is the name of that quarterback that washed out, was the backup in Pittsburgh, that was from, I believe he was from Oklahoma. Landry Jones, and the Ohio State quarterback that Cardell Jones. Those are like your high profiles.
Cardell Jones from the Washington,
from Ohio State. I mean, come on. Who wants to watch that?
It's all about money, though. Making money. It's all about money. It's all about raising money, football. But I see your point about maybe having young kids go to a league like that instead of college. But
and it might fall apart, because what it may do is it'll force the college's hands to pay these kids, and so they'll end up in college anyway. That might be what happens as a result.
Have colleges pay the kids? Wow.
Sure. Why not?
Do you think that college will be able to pay those type of?
Do you know?
No.
Do you? Yes, absolutely. We've got a proof positive. Even though they got busted for it. SMU. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Work just fine.
Millions. They have the funds.
Billions.
But my question,
when it's over with, billions.
My question is more geared to the level, the caliber of kids. Like, if they had the XFL, obviously they'll take the best of the college guys. But in college, if they want to keep those best, they're gonna have to pay them more than, say, a second, third string quarterback in college.
Come again?
No, what I'm saying is they have the funds to pay the college because they make millions, right? So they could probably pay more than the XFL could pay. But my question is
why, if the XFL was a place they were getting paid, and then the colleges flipped the script and started paying, that's probably why they would go back to the colleges.
Yeah, but my question is, in college, how would they allocate the level of pay to each player based on, do they do a year-to-year thing or performance? Like, how do they – because if you're a college kid and you're playing for a D1 –
what measuring stick do they use, yeah.
Right. Like, what makes a backup quarterback – like, Trevor Lawrence was a backup at one time, and then he became the starter.
What time? A day and a half? He was a freshman that was starting.
No, he was a backup quarterback for a few weeks. I mean, it wasn't like he just –
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying, the guy, was it Kelly Bryant, whatever his name was? He started up until like a little bit after that Texas A&M game, and
Yeah,
that wasn't like the first game of the season. That was a few weeks into
No,
the season.
third,
It
fourth,
was
something like
progressive.
that. Yeah.
So my
But here's the
question
thing.
is, if you have a starter quarterback like Kelly Bryant who's been there for a while, and then Trevor Lawrence supersedes him, how do you allocate who gets paid what? Because in the XFL, at least that league is paid. You're pretty much like drafting a player from high school, as opposed to a kid doing a recruiting and going there, and you got all these other kids going there. How would you dictate the pay in college?
Well, here's the thing. Really, in college, they would have to come up with a format for that because, as you saw with uh, SMU, when they did it, they basically based it on, well, he's coming from high school and he looks like this is what he'll do for us. And they based it on that. And they had contracts yearly, sometimes they had 2 and 3 year deals with these kids. And they came up with their pay scale. And I don't think that that's the answer. They need to come up with a structure for it. And even if they have to adjust it on a yearly basis based upon whether or not this guy, does he start? Does he sit on the bench and just hold a clipboard? You got to base it upon that. But, you can't change it mid season, I'm sure. But you can definitely do something from year to year.
Okay, I have another question for you. If you were to propose that theory, how many years of eligibility would XFL have before a kid can go pro?
Well, it doesn't. The bottom line is they can't have more than about 4 or 5 years because that's the most you can get in college. Technically, you can get 2 redshirt years, right? Where if you don't play, but actual play time, you only give them 4 years.
So you're saying you would have the XFL have the same criteria as college, basically?
Well, only as far as your eligible years to play the game. Outside of that, no.
Okay, so an XFL player could leave after year 1.
Well, if you leave in year 1, you can't go to the NFL, but you can leave whenever you want. You have to be 3 years removed from high school to go to the NFL.
But see, that's I guess that's what I'm saying. I think because what you're
That is an
proposing
NFL
sounds good, but if college counters and pays these guys and offers the same thing,
then the XFL folds. There's nothing you can do. My
right,
thing is, it forces college to do what they should have been doing all along anyway.
I hear you, but I'm saying I think XFL could compete with college because of the simple fact that college does have other dynamics. Like XFL, for example, won't be limited to playing in a school year. They can play whenever the hell they want. They can keep the season whenever they want. So when college season ends, XFL is still around. Those players can have opportunities to do different things, at different times of the year, and they're not required to take.
That's a little. Well, okay, you could do that, but let's not even play around with the whole idea of a guy playing XFL during the off season of a darn college football player. You're not doing both. Yeah. So, and I'm not even entertaining that idea. That's way too much for anybody.
What do you mean though? Like I'm not saying do both. I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm saying
I was just making sure because you were trying to say that they could do it at different times. Well, it's like, well,
no. I'm saying that they can do it at the same time, but XFL can have an extended longer time, like the NFL has an extended longer time, because college starts about August, September.
Mm-hmm.
NFL starts about the same time. NFL goes longer.
Yeah.
So I'm saying XFL can go longer, and
sure,
those players have more opportunities to perform at a higher level as opposed to college where it's limited to a bowl game. Like this is what I'm saying. Your theory is good, but I think your theory will be better if XFL can outdo the college, and I think they can with the same.
Well, if they do, but my thing is, it'll be hard to do because money talks.
Yeah, but
and
this is
XFL,
my point. But this is my point. There's no bowl games in XFL. There's bowl games in college. There's biased rankings. There's prestigious politics that puts college teams into these whack 4-game playoffs. XFL, you won't have that problem.
Okay, that's personal opinion. All right,
No, those
and
are
that's
facts.
fine.
Those are facts.
No, it's not a fact. It's not a fact. Come on.
So you're telling me you're
talking about. Hey, it doesn't matter whether I agree or disagree. I mean, because I agree with you. It's not about that. What it's about is you're putting quality players into a league and they're there because they're getting paid. Now, if the bottom line is getting paid, would I really, if I can go back to this university over here, be able to skate through my classes to where I'm doing well enough to stay in on the team and they're paying me double what this league over here is paying, is it worth the hassle? And a lot of people will go, yes. So now you're going to split it up. You know, they could have a better product because what they're going to do is they're going to break it down. They're going to have like 8 teams, and you're going to have 8 teams off of 100 and what, 17, 119, whatever it is, Division One schools in college football, and you're going to break it down into 8 teams, and you're going to have the best of the best on 8 teams. Of course, it's going to be a better product. That's not the question. The question is, if the colleges who have all this revenue and all of these people willing to pay and they're able, can you keep them? That's the question, Mike. And
Well,
I don't know.
but again, this is I guess what I'm trying to say is you're saying what I said was an opinion, but you agree with me. So
Oh,
what?
well, but the thing is, that's not what's going to be the issue. The issue is going to be, can you keep them if the colleges can outpay them? And I don't know about that.
No,
That's the part I don't
but
know.
what I'm saying is that is
But
an issue because
mhm.
it has everything to do with college being able to keep them. Because what I'm saying is when you have these schools, these prestigious universities that always get bids, and then you have schools like UCF who have a great season, but they don't get bid, those type of kids at UCF are going to be like, you know what? I can get paid at college just like I could at XFL. But in the XFL, I have better chance to shine because I don't have a bowl ranking holding me back or limiting me to a postseason, or I don't have teammates who are going to skip a bowl in the XFL, and the season's longer. So I have more of a chance to show. So I'd rather go to the XFL and get paid and showcase my talent rather than be limited by some bowl politic
Okay.
system.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, that sounds nice in theory, but herein lies the problem once again. You brought up UCF. Now, if you're taking 100 and, like I said, I think it's 17, 19 Division One schools, and you're breaking them down, let's say that they go 60-man rosters times 8 teams, 480 guys from 119 Division One schools. How many guys from UCF do you really think are going to be in that league?
And with the
One,
XFL,
maybe two. One, maybe two. There ain't going to be much.
what league are you talking about? XFL?
I'm talking about the league that I'm proposing. You can call it what you want, XFL, CFL. Let's call it the NFL, the Nathaniel Football League. Okay, it doesn't matter. But the bottom line is, you know, you're going to have 480 players coming from 119 Division One school pot. Out of that 480, the guys want to go over there and get paid. Do you really think that UCF players are really going to make one or two tops? You're going to, and if that,
No, but your
you're going to have
point.
all those LSU, Alabama. I mean, these guys are going to go there and they're going to take up all them roster spots.
Yeah, but again, your whole point, your original base was if college pays the players, that XFL league would fold if they can compete financially,
It could.
right?
It very
Okay,
well could
so
because they're out overpaying.
that's why I'm offering another perspective. I'm saying I don't think it will fold when you look at Division One college, you have more players in that than you would the XFL with all those teams. So every player would not have that opportunity to shine like at an LSU or a Georgia or Florida State when they're at a second tier Division One school perception wise, like a UCF.
So my proposal was a top tier youngster league. Now what you've done is say it'll stay around because it'll be a second tier youngster league.
No. I'm saying when you added on the element of college countering by paying the players, I'm adding on the element and countering that as well. That's what I'm doing. Because when you brought up the fact that college can play these guys, therefore they can compete, just to be clear, are you allocating the top Division I players once college proposes that to compete with XFL? Are you saying that you think those college kids will go back to college now that they're getting paid? The
If the
top kids?
price is right, once again, that's what I said before, because the XFL or this league that I've proposed is a league that is essentially, it's going to be limited in resource.
Right.
It's not going to have the level of resource that a college football would have, NCAA.
Let me ask you this: are you saying that it doesn't have the level of resources based upon the college players getting paid or not getting paid?
Either way, take your pick. They don't
Okay,
have the resources. So,
if they're
therefore,
not
let's
getting
put it this way.
paid,
They
if they're
will
not
not,
getting
hold
paid,
on.
okay,
If you don't have the TV contracts, the uh, the uh, the alumni, and all that money that comes into these programs, you're not going to have that in the XFL. You're going to have some investors. The investors are going to be able to do oh so much. Like, for instance, when you look at the USFL, there was some guys with some real dollars that were involved in that, but it wasn't the same level. They didn't have the resources of the NFL. They didn't have the resources of the NCAA. You're going to have the same issue with a new league. These are established leagues that have tons of money just oozing out of theirs. So there's almost infinite resources in these. So herein lies the problem. You start this upstart, but you take the talent. The talent is what gets the attention, and because of the talent, you've got fans' attention. You got this young budding league of a bunch of future stars, and that's my vision for it. When you turn it around and college says, well, you're taking all of our top tier talent, so this is what we're going to do. And so they start, I'm going to pay, but I see what they're able to do. We're going to up the ante for these guys and entice them back. And if you do that, it's hard to keep that afloat, because what you've done is you've got all the top tier talent that you're paying more to, forcing them back into college because of the money. And then what you're doing is, if you're going to keep this league around, guys on the second tier who maybe they're not willing to pay as much come over to this league, and now you've got a step down in the quality of players in that league. So you got a brand new budding league with second tier talent. That's going to be hard to sustain.
You're right, but this is why I feel a different perspective. If you're talking, when you said it doesn't matter, pick or whether they get paid or not. If college players are not getting paid, the whatever the league is, it will win by default because money.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we agree on that.
But this is not a debate. If that's the case, there's nothing to talk about, because now you've got a league.
I'm gonna get to the other side of the coin. Let me finish. So then, when you said that if college decides to pay their players, then they're probably gonna outdo, and that league will fold, right? Because of the amount of resources that college has, you're saying that the other league will probably fold, right?
You there?
Is Nate there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you.
I said yeah, probably fold. They can't keep up.
Right. So that's where I feel I don't know that they can't keep up, and the reason being is because, like I mentioned, those schools with the resources, once they start paying, the resources aren't going to be even. It's not like every kid is going to get paid the same amount of money. The top
You're
tier
making my
schools,
point for me again. Go ahead.
No, I'm not. The top tier schools, once again, are going to get the attention because of the politics in college. Except that league won't have that problem because, again, if you're not the SEC, okay, or a prestigious Big Ten or ACC school, you're not going to be considered. If you go to Wake Forest within the ACC, doesn't matter if you play in the ACC, you are not Florida State or Clemson. No matter how good you are, you won't get that kind of income unless you're just some Randy Moss unique talent that went there. Why would somebody not just go to the other league and get paid max dollars from that investor when when they can shine there better and get paid more than they would been at
Okay.
UCF or South
Let
Florida
me bottom line this
or
because I
Rutgers.
think you're missing some things here. All right. I'm gonna go all the way back to the SMU days. Do you want to know what Craig James was paid as a running back that wasn't even the best running back in the backfield? Craig James made $600,000 a year way back then. Now, the XFL that we had currently with the Scrubs, they didn't have a $600,000 a season player, not one. Now, are you going to tell me that the number 2 running back on a team like SMU, because SMU, you can say what you want. You don't have to be a top tier school to have top tier alumni. You know, they're not one and the same. But top tier alumni do come from top tier schools. You know, no argument there, definitely. But SMU, they've never been known for anything, but they got deep, deep pockets down there in Dallas. So, you know, and you're going to have some other places that have that too, that don't have these big time, prestigious college football programs. But they can buy them, which SMU proved. You can buy them. And if you're going to pay college kids like that, it's going to be hard to have people in this alternate league that are making clearly less money. You know, because where are these investors going to come from that are going to pay? They're not going to pay millions of dollars for some upstarts. Colleges may.
Yeah, but you're assuming that these investors aren't going to have, like, where these investors come from. They can
Hold on. Let's just go with historic facts. They've never been there. So what makes you think that they're there now?
Well,
Okay.
I'm looking at the fact that we're not having a league cater to what you're saying. So in fairness, you can't really say that, because historically in other sports, when people have invested, bro, I watch soccer. Investors do it all the time in soccer. Right now in Europe, they're having boycotts in the German league in particular, because they don't want these investors or these owners owning the team to the point where they can have the right to invest in increase ticket prices, because they're traditional. They're from the people, right? So now that these investors are coming into these leagues because they're so popular, they're trying to get behind more German teams. The German fans are boycotting games. So they have investors that have money from other countries. Like you can find an investor from South America. If the league you're talking about establishing, they can get investors from South America who can pour in just as many assets as some of these colleges, bro. They got money out there. They got backing. So
I'm going to go back to this. That sounds great. But
I mean,
the bottom line is this.
It's happening.
The bottom line is this. There have been many different football organizations anywhere around the world that have tried to put themselves on par with the NFL or the NCAA. And no matter how hard they tried and no matter what they did, and like I said, I think the USFL made the best push and had the right idea, but didn't have the resources. And they folded because the money was not there. And they were overpaying guys that they could not afford to pay. But where's it going to come from if it's not there? You know, you've already got the NFL monopolizing the TV contracts, the NCAA monopolizing the TV contracts. That's where the majority of the money is anyway.
Right.
So
Investment.
I don't see any way for that to work other than colleges stand fast. That's me.
I hear you. I'm looking at the fact that, to me, if college pays, I still think there's an element of college with these politics that are going to affect it, because even if they're getting paid, they're going to be like, players are sitting out on bowl games, and if they get paid, it's only going to be worse. They're going to be like, look, I got paid. I'm going to do enough to beat the season. I might not even play in the conference championship. I might not play in the bowl game. I might not even play in the championship game because I'm getting paid now. Their interest is solely going to be getting paid, taking care of their bodies to get to the next level in the NFL. I'm saying it can get worse.
And once again, I'm going to back up and say, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? It doesn't make that, to me. They're going to do what they do.
Oh man, look at Beto, bro.
The bottom line is They're paying them now as we speak.
Well, of course.
You don't
But
think
it's
that the Alabamas and the LSUs
of course.
they're
But they're
paying
not
them now.
they're not making the money they would make if it were all the way legalized to just pay them outright what they're really worth. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're paying them, but it's like a gift money. It's not like they're getting paid by a contract like they should
No,
be.
that's true. But you know what? They're gonna make decisions that they're gonna make anyway. Because the thing that you're talking about, they're doing it anyway. They're skipping out on bowl games anyway. They're doing, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's going to be worse. They'll probably skip out on conference championships. They'll probably skip
Would
out on
they?
some season games that are meaningless. They're going
Would
to just play
would
enough to
that?
get.
Yeah, now we're talking contractual stuff. Maybe the contract can force their hand on that.
Well, I guess we'll see. But it's but yeah, I don't know. Good topic though.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely like that.
Speaking of Pop Warner, this is for you, Pop Warner, right here. You can watch over the XFL.
Absolutely, no doubt.
My son's Mid Florida Championship Pop Warner hat because we won. We're the best team in Orlando.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
Beto, man.
Beto put on his XFL mask with a San Francisco logo on it.
Oh man. I see what's going on, Bob Money. I see Bob had made a comment about soccer, saying that they had invested in their academies. Well,
that's a good point there.
Right, but you can do that same setup in other sports, and that's what I'm saying. You could
Sure.
take that and duplicate that to contend with whatever college tries to counter. So, and another thing, and Bob is a soccer fan. I saw that he wrote. Bob should know best too. In soccer, a lot of those teams in other leagues like the La Liga or the English Premier, they have a lot of financial backings, more so than the Bundesliga that I watch, or more so than the French league. And then you have, PSG is one of the few teams, maybe Lyon, but most of the teams from top to bottom aren't going to get that financial backing like that. So in soccer, those investors are able to get away with that because those fans and those clubs traditionally have been invested and they've been rooted. And I think if you do that with football, for example, in another league, I see Ismail says soccer players are overpaid. I think any professional player can be overpaid.
True.
If you look at players in the NFL, do you think that these receivers that are overpaid are players in the NBA, for example, they're not overpaid? They're overpaid to me, but I don't think none of them are better than like some of the guys that I grew up on.
Let me go ahead and rewind on that too. I don't really feel like anybody is overpaid. And the reason being is because if you're willing to give that guy that kind of money, more power to you. What's the definition of overpaid? Why are people handing this kind of money to, I'm going to just use a name, Odell Beckham. $20 million a year, darn it. 19. I don't understand it. But if you feel like he's good enough for that and he's beneficial, so be it. Yeah, more power to you. Yeah. Now, when it comes to me, I start looking at the salary cap. You take that salary cap out of the way, I wouldn't care what they got paid. You can't put together a team just jacking up salaries. But you used to be able to do that prior to 1994.
Yeah.
You could do it, and it didn't matter. But
yeah,
outside of that, soccer, I don't care how much those dudes get paid. If you want to pay them $50 million a year, pay them $50 million a year.
But the reason why I say that is because I think a lot of people who say those comments probably aren't even watching the sport. Like they have no problems with, players in football, NBA. That's why I say overpaid, because if they're going to say soccer is overpaid, you could say that for any professional sport, that the players are overpaid and not living up to what, like Jimmy Graham, he got overpaid when he got to Seattle,
Huh?
and
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, he
If
didn't
we're
live up
talking
to what he
about
did
pay
in New
for
Orleans.
production, perhaps. But I just look at it like this, Mike. Uh, you can't pay a guy for what he's doing. You have to pay him for what you feel like he's going to do. And when Jimmy Graham was doing what he was doing in New Orleans, you had to pay him for what you thought was going to continue. And when it didn't, that's what he's getting paid for. And you can't really say too much about it. It's
Well,
like,
the reason why I feel that way is, unlike soccer and football in America is huge, right?
sure,
Soccer is huge all over the world. So when soccer players get paid more, I honestly feel like, hey, the sport in general is a world renowned sport. In America, football, the Super Bowl is big here. You know, people overseas might watch it, but the whole world watches the World Cup. So most people in America might not care about soccer like that, but the world does. So I just feel like it just generates more buzz across the world. So therefore, their value of the sport, whether the player is performing at a high level or not, their sport value is just unprecedented compared to any other sport that I've seen, in my humble opinion. I think soccer is just it's huge, bro, across the world. Everybody's playing.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I have no skin in it either way. My
Yeah,
thing is,
it's hard to
I'm
compare
not
though
playing
because
either
it's
one.
two different sports,
I
two
ain't
different
getting any
setups.
paychecks. And I want every guy out there that is out there playing that game get as much money as they can give me if they're
Yeah,
willing to.
true,
That's the way
true.
I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
when you start talking about my team, I get a little more analytical when it comes to that. And means how do we put together the best team? Now I'm talking about that. But really, when it comes down to it, do I really care? No, no. I want these guys to have blank checkbooks from these billionaires, and I want these billionaires to scratch big checks, huge check as possible. Just
Yeah,
throw the money at them. Because
yeah,
the bottom line is, when you talk about the NFL, those owners are just like they're pirates, bro.
yeah,
they they make a ton of money, and they don't pay out near as much as you know they get paid.
yeah. That's true. I agree with that. I mean, when you're looking at it from a broader perspective and not limiting into just this player and his performance, when you're looking at it from a broader perspective, like owners, yeah, you're right. There is no such thing as overpaid, because owners, if players are overpaid, then what are owners?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And
but
and
yeah,
and
my
all
my my my
we're always talking
context.
about, this guy should take less money. This guy should take less money. The owner's not taking less money. Why
That's
should he?
valid point. I agree with that. My response was, my statement rather was limited to just the players in their respective sports and their positions, not the broad context of overall totality. But I agree, nobody's ever going to be paid their worth, because you can't really put a price on worth, because everybody's going to feel like they're underpaid. You know,
Sure.
I'm sure Tom Brady feels like he's underpaid. He's accomplished more than every quarterback playing right now in the last 20
Forget
years.
all those guys. I'm underpaid.
Yeah, we all are. Everybody's underpaid. You know what I mean?
I'll
So
get on top of that, gentlemen. I'll get on top of it.
the mass that Beto has is underpaid. I mean, we're
I'm
all
telling
underpaid.
you.
You're right. We don't have our value and our worth. That's why you should become an entrepreneur and get your own thing. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
but you guys are. You know what? You guys have been talking some great topics, man. Yeah, I've been letting you guys go at it because your debate is very legitimate, and you guys are having a great topic. So it's
Yeah,
great.
it's funny
The
because
viewers are enjoying it.
this right here sounds like one of mine and Mike's phone conversations is what this turned into.
Right, right. We what we do off air got put on live, so we
Yep.
next time we gonna keep it 9. I don't know how the fans feel, but this
Yeah.
is what me and bro Nate do off air.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's fun to to talk about. And, debates are good. Always great debates are great. You guys have your points, and you guys both made valid points.
Sure.
Valid points, and you have the viewers agreeing with Mike. You have viewers agreeing with Nate. And that's what the show's all about, man. You guys made it exciting tonight. It is getting late. I'm okay with it. It's not that late on my side. So if you guys want to keep going, we can. We have quite a few
We
viewers.
can
If you
wrap
guys
this
want to
up.
call it.
Mike was trying to get out of here an hour ago.
Yeah, we got to a good topic, man.
Yeah.
I think with Mike, I figured it out. If he's in a good topic, he don't mind staying up. If it's just a boring situation, he's like, man, I wish I was off the show about an half hour ago. So.
Now, honestly, the topic felt like 5 minutes because it was just 1 o'clock. Now I see it's 2, and I'm like, damn.
Yep. That's what I
5
remember
minutes.
you saying, and then I looked at the clock and saw, dang, yeah, he wanted to get off here an hour ago.
Yeah.
Kimo says, learning here from my brothers. So he's welcome to that, Kim. I'm always learning from these two gentlemen. Great, smart guys within their individual rights. I love debating with them. Not debating. I love listening to the debate, especially off the show. Man, these guys are great. But I'm gonna go ahead and close it up, guys. You guys are awesome. It is getting late. It was a great show, the Niners Sickness podcast show here on YouTube. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell so that you guys will be notified for future reference. And let your family and friends know about our show. That's the only way we will extend.
Hit that share.
Hit that share. Exactly, yes. Share the video, man. Share it on your post on Facebook. Share it everything you get, man. We truly appreciate all you guys that participated tonight. Thanks to Boston Hater and Florida Mike for tonight. You guys are awesome. Stay tuned for our next show. We'll keep you guys informed. Anything you want to say before we call it a night, guys?
Yeah, I don't totally hate. I love Boston Niner fans. Come on, man.
Very slim, but he does. Slim. But there's still hope.
Yeah, that's about as far as it goes.
But I can tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. He does love his Niners because if that guard is able to come from Boston over to us, he will take it. So he'll put the team before his own personal needs. So that has to be respected.
Yeah, but he better play damn good when he gets here.
No shit. Or all bets are off.
Oh, you're gonna hear it. I'm gonna let him have it.
But we definitely got to do another show more in depth about this, guys. This was great. Really enjoyed watching you and Nate and Mike go debate with one another, man, and bringing interesting points, man. Thank you for making the show interesting. Kimo, Bob, and everyone else, Ismael Ortiz, thank you guys for being part of the show. You guys make this show, man. Continue to share the show, invite your friends and family. I'm going to be doing a giveaway jersey. So as soon as we get 30 new members, one of you 30 will win a new jersey. So let's invite people to like the show. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. Thank you for watching and have a blessed night.
Good night.
We are out. Peace. Good night. We are out of here. Leave you a little bit of football, and then we're gone. Let's see one more touchdown by Jimmy. Let me get that touchdown, and then we'll call it a night. All right, gentlemen. Good night.